So the project of you is very much about how you are wired and how you feel and how you are going to pile drive through life's barriers and friction and get your big life change in motion, in truth and action today that connects to tomorrow and connects to the next day, because it's a slow process, because it's a big goal. But when you see 10 days go by, and then you see 30 days go by, and then you see actual change in motion, and that becomes normal, then once it's part of your default, then you've reduced that friction. It's just part of your default. It's part of the people you hang out with. It's part of your lifestyle. And then you go on to a new personal default mode change. So as you're how can you move from friction to frictionlessness? In KindEdge.com, we're working on the project of you. You're trying to change something big in your life, something about your career, something about your relationships, something about a big goal that you want to make part of your life instead of putting it on hold. We are working on big life change, but we make it doable in small bite-sized steps that are realistic and that work in real life and can be practiced on a daily basis to actually turn the ship versus just staying stuck in mode inspired, but not in action. So we're working on this project of you. And as you work towards big life change, there's little bits of default behavior in you that is going to hold you back. And it is hard. There is so much friction when you try to do something in a different mode because your old default modes will drag you back in. If you think of any surface, if there's a groove in that surface, all the marbles or the water, anything will roll into that groove because that's your old default mode. And you will always move back into that old default mode in the way you react to people, in the way that you commit your time, in the way that you invest your money, in the way that you make choices. You fall into old defaults and you have to it takes so much work. There's so much friction to recognize an old default, to recognize the triggers, and then to bring forth the ability to behave differently and then make that the new default, to make that a new practice because it doesn't feel natural. And when something doesn't feel natural and takes a lot of effort, when it's very effortful, it is full of friction. It is very difficult. So when you're doing this, you have to think very consciously and very hard about if I am going to achieve this goal, how can I make that step forward something that's sustainable, that I can do every day, that will be part of my long game and that will be frictionless. So I'll use a very practical example of if somebody's trying to train for a marathon, to be sure that they have 2 sets of running shoes that feel great that are in their car as well as at home. So if you're going to go running from home or you're going to go running at the gym, have all of your equipment in duplicate. So there is no friction so that before you head home, as you're driving past the gym, you will show up there. And as I've mentioned on any of your workout equipments, I've said in the past videos, have an inspirational tag that reminds you of your wise self versus your tired, ready to quit self. So one of the things that I have had on my gym bag sometimes is a tag that says, and you can go to on KindEdge.com, go to KindEdge.com/shop, and you can see examples of the totems that I sell in my Amazon store. The reason I made those is I made them for myself. I put screensavers on my phone. I had keychains that reminded me of things I had promised to myself. I've made all these promises to myself. But when you're tired and falling into your old default mode, you lose track of your wise mind. You lose track of your higher purpose. You lose track of the goal. And you need your wise words embedded in these totems to remind you. So if you're going to reduce the friction, have the extra shoes at home for your marathon goals, have the extra shoes and all the equipment in your trunk of your car so that as you're driving past the gym, there's no way you're going to go home. There's no way you're going to fall to your not wise mind. And you're going to open your trunk and the trunk keychain One of the things that I had on my trunk gym bag keychain or tag was just walk in. Because you know that if you grab that bag and all the stuff you need is in the bag and you have your earbuds and you have your stuff, you're gonna, and you've preloaded a great playlist, you've preloaded a great set of podcasts. If you get all that stuff lined up and reduce the friction once you walk into the gym and you see everybody else sweating it out and you see somebody that you know has just been at a long day at work, yet they're there, and you hear the music and the energy and the lights of the gym, you're going to go with it. And in the same way, if you have your gym shoes ready to go at home and you know you've loaded up a great playlist on your phone and you've got your earbuds charged and you're ready to go, it's going to reduce the friction and you're going to roll towards your goal downhill rather than feeling that jagged edge friction as you try to make this your default mode. Another part of the reduction in friction is rewards. You cannot make the reward a year from now. You cannot make the reward the finishing of the marathon. The reward has to be today. So the reward is instead of just doing the hard work, sometimes I listen to all educational podcasts and then I load up a bunch of funny comedian podcasts and I treat that kind of as my dessert. So if I've done all the things, if I'm going for a run, I don't just listen to my nerd stuff. I throw in some of the funny comedian stuff because that's like a little treat and a reward for myself. So you get creative about what is rewarding to me, what will make it so that it's not about just doing hard work until I run that marathon. The friction is in today, right? So you want to make it frictionless and add in rewards today. So you'll show up tomorrow and show up the next day and show up the next day. So in KindEdge, we work these things to make it very practical. So today you want to achieve this goal of today and you want to daisy chain it, connect it to tomorrow and connect it to tomorrow and connect it to tomorrow. So it's got to feel good. You cannot say, well, I'm working out for 28 days straight with no reward and I'm just going to be perfect. No, you build in rewards every day so that you're like, well, I open my trunk and I look at my gym bag and it says just walk in. So you turn off your brain because you're already tired. Your wise mind is shot. You're tired at the end of the day. And you say just walk in. Okay. But you kind of know when you get into the gym, oh, I do have that really funny podcast or video that I was going to watch, or that really interesting thing that I wanted to find out about. So that's a little bit of a reward right there. And then you're going to know at the end of this, you're going to do something else that's rewarding. And you're going to build it into your days. So your days aren't just work with a side of work with a little bit of work. You're adding in work and recovery and rest, and work and recovery and rest, work and reward, work and reward. That's what makes the long game sustainable. And any big goal and any big life change is a long game. And whether that's a divorce, whether that's a negotiation, whether that's a new career, whether that's starting a charity, you'll say, well, I'm just going to do 1, 2, 3. And all of those steps expand. There's a delta for every step. You go, oh, I didn't know I was going to have to meet with a banker and I didn't know I was going to have to do this. And these things just explode and you realize every single day I got to have a sustainable well of energy. I've got to have a reconnection to what my wise mind through carrying totems. And every totem that you're working on is very specific to the current portion of your journey. So in some portions of your journey, you're talking about firing up. I've got one online that says channel the animal. So I've got to fire it up. I've got to stop saying yes to people who walk all over me. I'm going to fight for this. I'm going to put down money with that attorney. I was afraid to put down money with the attorney, but I am writing that check. And now we're getting things in motion, big changes happening. And then there's other times where it's about being present and making this sustainable through, times of peace and calm and recovering your neurotransmitters and recovering your inner wiring and balancing your parasympathetic and sympathetic modes. So you build these things in and you realize that by making this, seeing that any big goal is going to be a long game, it's going to get more complex, not less complex. It's going to get more complex. There will be more barriers there will be more friction. So as you work towards it and you see that it's a long game and it has to be everyday doable, it's the everyday friction that you need to make frictionless. And so it's your life, it's your goal. This is all bespoke to you. It's all about how you are wired, whether you're going to champion the chaos by getting up earlier than everybody else and get your workout in beforehand? Or are you going, is your wiring about doing things differently? Do you like to be social in order to achieve a goal? Do you want to sign up with a group so that you're committed socially to other people? It's up to you. Or do you find this, say it's the marathon, do you find that the only time in your day that you get a little solitude is when you're running? Maybe that's your quiet time of listening to an audiobook and you get to kind of rebuild yourself from there. And that's a reward. So the project of you is very much about how you are wired and how you feel and how you are going to pile drive through life's barriers and friction and get your big life change in motion, in truth and action today that connects to tomorrow and connects to the next day, because it's a slow process, because it's a big goal. But when you see 10 days go by, and then you see 30 days go by, and then you see actual change in motion, and that becomes normal, then once it's part of your default, then you've reduced that friction. It's just part of your default. It's part of the people you hang out with. It's part of your lifestyle. And then you go on to a new personal default mode change. So as you're making big life change, you discover you really can only you have to focus on big changes in you and how you react to everything around you. Those big changes need to be rewired in your default wiring. And it's really hard. It takes months to rewire one part of you. And then once you kind of rewire that, what I notice when I rewire something, when I achieve the rewiring, I start to see old things I did or old things I said or old social communication posts, and I see that I was struggling with something that now I'm like, oh, that's a no-brainer now. That's clearly a no. Like, why would I even, maybe I was hemming and hawing, feeling guilty saying no to something that didn't align with me. And I was feeling guilted into doing something, whatever. When I've gotten rewired in the right way about choices and the number of minutes I have in the day to achieve certain things, when I know the short list of things that can happen in my day, because life is about choices. When I see myself having been guilted into doing things in the past, that was when I thought minutes were limitless and life was limitless. And I could stay on that. I could live on hold. I could let my goals live on hold forever. And when I finally saw how clearly each day's limited minutes were the same as me until death, meaning if I don't do me today, I literally will let that continue as a pattern until I die. So if my life goals aren't happening in some part of today and it's on hold because I'm saying yes to other things that I'm getting guilted into, I could see the pattern. I mapped out, and I will, I have an exercise on KindEdge.com in the steps, which I'm still producing online in a section of my website. There's an exercise where you get that micro of today and you build that micro of today into the long game, and you say, is this happening or not? We get it in action today, or it's not happening between now and death. And then there's also a recognition that in phases of your life, the priorities can change, but at one moment in time, any place you are in this current 5 to 10 year portion, you really can only manage a very short list of top priorities. So things that are absolute yeses all the time, it's a very short list. And the other yeses are 99% no's, but if I have an absolute gap in time, I'll throw in one yes. It's very different from the sense of obligation to everything around us. But that's how you really get your big goals met and give them the right attention. So look at your given day and say, if I have this short list of goals and one big thing I'm trying to achieve in my life, a change, I've got to know there's going to be tons of friction because it's going to be me talking differently to somebody who's walked all over me, changing my attitude about money and how I get it, me changing how I react to myself when I have lost track of my wise mind. So me, when I used to give in to things versus me having a rational approach to a little bit tired versus absolutely too tired to work out. So you're going to remove the friction, get yourself in motion, and start to see evidence of a change in your default modes. And then you'll go to the next step and the next step. And then that's big life change. You really transform. You change a little bit of your rewiring, a little bit of how you use your time, a little bit of the people, environments, and things around you. And in 6 months and 9 months, you see transformation. You look back at yourself and you go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was giving away so much of my important time to things that didn't matter. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited that now in every single day, I'm in an environment that is better aligned with the vision I had for myself, the goal I had for myself, the dream I had for myself. And that's how you achieve big life change with KindEdge.com and the project of you. And I will just add a little tidbit, which is I'm here talking for this video, but I've had a lot of friction. There's a lot of background, but I've had to kind of rebuild my house for a year and a half after it getting flooded from 2 hurricanes that hit back to back. And so there was great friction in just the logistics of being able to do my videos. So I've rented space instead of trying to do it at home. Right now, I've got a million workers in my house, and finally we got the permitting and insurance and all the different things to connect to finally let big stuff happen. So if I let all those logistics hold me back, I would have not produced anything this year. But I said, what's going to make this possible? So I literally had to do a bunch of dress rehearsals in terms of where is it easy to find parking around where I do these videos. And I have equipment at home. And then when I got here, there's certain equipment that works. I had to do dress rehearsals to say, well, this microphone didn't work in this space. I've even had network things that I had to hack and work out. And so I've got this go bag that stays in my trunk, and it's my podcast go bag, and it is all ready to go. The things are plugged into each other. So the light that I've got here, I did one video, it was super dark, and I'm like, well, I have to buy a light that I carry with me. So I've got the light. The light is plugged into an extension cord. I had to buy an extra extension cord because of the way this particular room is built. We couldn't reach the power. And so I had to just make it frictionless. So I doubled up everything. I bought all the equipment, and I've got it ready to go in my go bag. And then I had to check, where can I park? Where is it? Boom. In order to walk into here, I can park easily. It's always got parking available. I had to find that, make that frictionless. And then here's the other thing is, believe it or not, even though I've been chatty here and talking, I am by nature an introvert. And so it's so amazing to me that I can be outside of this room talking to people perfectly fine, just people that I know and little chit chat, totally fine. But when I walk into this podcast room, I notice, and you can tell so anytime I'm doing anything, anytime I've done a video, I've either just worked out or I'm going to go to work out. So you can probably see my yoga. I've got yoga gear on underneath this. So that's part of so anyhow, I do a ton of yoga. I work on my breathing. I work on my balancing parasympathetic and sympathetic modes. Even though I do all of that in life, when I walk into this podcast room, just as I start to plug in the equipment, I feel my heartbeat increase rapidly in a nervous way, as if I was going to give a presentation to thousands of people. And I find it incredible that I've done now over 100 videos. And I noticed it this morning. I'm like just picking up the bag and plugging things in, and I felt my heart start to race. And so I just used some of my yoga breathing to bring it back in position, and it calms down quite a bit once I get talking, because then my mind is on my higher purpose, like what I'm trying to convey. And honestly, I'll it's not like, so this concept of frictionlessness is something I was discussing with my older son. And so that is what prompted me to do this video. Is the concept of friction applies in so many places and so many ways. It's everywhere in our life. And the more we can reduce friction, the more we invite ourselves in. And it can be, if you're social, you link your goals to other people and social things, and you just make it possible. You buy two of something, you make sure I've got, the whole concept of a go bag. Everything in my go bag, my travel bag, I had to go to very sadly, I had to go back to Chicago last week for a very, very, very sad funeral. And it was very surprising and shocking. But in order to make that possible amidst a busy life, to quickly take off and go to something like that, the logistics of getting my dog into doggy daycare and all of these things, it was very beneficial for me to be able to achieve all of these things that life brings to us, to have this go bag. Because the go bag is ready to go. It's got my workout stuff in it. It's got duplicates of my workout stuff. It's got all the duplicates of my makeup. Anything that I would commonly need. I'm not at home packing and thinking of what I need to pack. The only thing I'm having to think about is what I'm going to wear that day, and anything else I need to wear the next couple of days, just core outfits. But everything else is in the go bag, in my carry-on travel bag. And so I had to identify what is the friction to being able to fit all of these important things into our lives. And for me to be a hardworking, busy person, but also be present at these very important family events, moments of recognition, just key life moments. And so anything, if there's something that's important to you, making these things fit into our busy and challenging lives is key. And so you want to remove the friction. So I hope that kind of made sense. It's a life hack, and it's part of making big life change possible. I notice a lot of people fall into old default modes because big life change has so much friction, and you want to invite yourself into the friction by making it a little bit more frictionless. So I hope you will join me at KindEdge.com. You can forward this, you can like, you can comment, subscribe. All of those small little steps will help other people who need this find this, and help a community interested in this type of thing connect. And so I hope you will help me that way if you can. Visit kindedge.com to find out more. And I'm building these steps so that they're actionable, doable things that you can commit to and take action on, and get it practical, little bite-sized worksheets. And you say, okay, now I did that. Now I did that. Now I did that. I'm just having to load it into I've got all of my stuff that I built, and now I have to load it into a new online steps tool. So anyhow, join me at kindedge.com. My name is Mary. This journey is not going to be easy, but I plan to make it fun. Peace.